We are here with Hansman, right? Say
I go by Ansi.
Because your name is very long and sometimes you can Hansi. It's okay.
Yeah, Ansi is perfectly fine. That's good.
Okay. So you are a effects artist, and now we are in Paris for the masterclass of. Here I have a masterclass, and in your talk you say your experience like the effects artist, but on set. Your life is change, your role is change when you starting to do this, or
it's still, I'd say it's a hybrid because I'm only on set 3 days out of the week. The other 2 days of a 5-day work week, I'm still in my office doing shots for commercials or, you know, those emergency projects where you have 3 days to fix something. And so I'm on set only half the time of the week. So I like the balance of it, that it's like a hybrid job. I'm still doing visual effects, sitting on the computer, and then I go to set. I just expanded my portfolio of what I can offer as an artist to studios. So if I need to do on-set VFX for a commercial, I can do that. If I need to do shots on that very commercial, I can do that too. So it's just a broader portfolio of what I can offer now, basically.
And come back. You are come from Germany.
Yeah.
And you started. We see also for another interview on 3dagain.com, and in this interview you say you are self-educational on CG, and you started with internship in Germany,
Yeah.
and then you how is your experience when is change more your experience in VFX?
So after the internship, that was 6 months unpaid, which is very common in the industry that you don't get paid for an internship. I got to keep the computer I was working on and I was done. But that company kept me as a freelancer right after that internship. So I smoothly transitioned into being a VFX artist after the 6 months training. I had no real VFX education prior to that. And YouTube was just coming out, so people would record first video tutorials and that was basically just, oh, this is how the Max viewport works, like very basic tutorials, because YouTube was such a new thing. I think nowadays like thousands of videos for Max and Maya and Houdini and whatnot. So I smoothly transitioned out of internship into freelancer, and what I did very early on in 2005, I cut my first showreel. So just 6 months or whatever after I was a freelancer, 1 year after I started the entire thing, I already put together like a 1.5 minute short showreel, just the coolest stuff I was working on at the time, and a little bit of just R&D, little particle work, and put that on YouTube. And my other surrounding artists at that little studio they didn't have showreels, although they've been working in VFX for like 6-7 years sometimes. And they were wondering why they're only working at that one studio and never get calls from other shops. And so I was like, yeah, do you have a reel? Like, nah, I never did one really. So I did a showreel very early on in my career, just put it on YouTube, just put it out there. And in the end of the reel, there's like, here's where you can reach out to Ansi. And at one point in time, the phone rang with the other companies. Hey, we saw your V-Ray shading stuff or whatever, and we're working on this mermaid commercial. It was one of the earlier works I did, which still holds up, I think. And then I started touring around all over Europe, basically being a freelancer for like 6 years or something.
I see. Also, you work on Avatar. You work on. It's very. I think when. Some people call you, hey, do you want to come in New Zealand for Avatar? You say, hey, maybe you're a big emotion for you.
So in 2008, I got hired by Frantic Films, which is a Canada-based company and also had a shop in Los Angeles. They're not around anymore. But since I was in 2008, I was already a sophisticated particle artist. And I tested their software, Krakatoa back then, in an early beta stage. And so when Krakatoa came out and they got more Krakatoa work in as a company, they hired me because I already knew their software that was back then proprietary in their company. And since I already knew their pipeline and their software, they asked me if I wanted a job. And I was like, sure. Because I always wanted to work at shops like Blur or whatever. And so my condition was yes, I want to work at Frantic, but I want to be in the Los Angeles office. Because their other offices were in Canada, like way up north, it's very cold, and LA was just like, yeah, LA. So that's how I got international work. And then when you're in LA and you're at a bigger company, you get bigger projects to work on. But currently I live in New Orleans and I work from my home office, and I don't work on site anymore. That's my condition now, is if I can work remote, I'll do it. I want to work from home. It's awesome. It's awesome.
On pipeline, there is more forum, more discussion on web, and when you send, for example, the reel and to the company, and he asks, hey, what kind of software you use? I use FedEx Max. It's not good for effects because we use only Maya or Houdini. But you use more FedEx Max, thinking particles, and what do you think the best pipeline for you or for FX world?
I think use whatever gets the job done. I'm just a Max guy because that's the software I learned earlier in my career. Most of my friends also know Houdini very well by now, but I never made the switch really, which I might regret at some point in my life, but currently it's awesome. And I think it's, as they say, it's not the wand, it's the wizard that makes the magic. So a good artist can do amazing work with like Cinema 4D and amazing renderings, and they didn't have a huge 20-core, 24-core machine and a Houdini pipeline and all this belts and whistles that a big company has. It really depends on the artist. So a good painter can paint on any surface. It doesn't have to be an awesome canvas. So I think whatever gets the job done. And I just happen to be a Max guy. That's my preference. And usually I have the luxury, because I work from home, that they let me use whatever I choose to use, because I'm detached from their company. I have my own pipeline that's all Max based, and they just get rendered frames anyways. They don't care how I did it and with what software really.
Is their output.
Right, exactly. There's no, they let me use whatever I want to use because they're just interested in a good result. However I went there, they don't care really.
Okay. So you don't find nothing difficult when, for example, recruitment is say, hey, what do you use? 3D Max or you find also this in your life?
Honestly, in the last couple of years, I make show reels every now and then, but I've never really went to recruiters. I think by now, like in the 3ds Max world at least, people know me, I guess, and I never went out to find work or went to recruiters. I always get emails for jobs, like sometimes I'm doing 2 at a time. I don't have a hard time finding work. I don't go out and go to interviews for jobs or for gigs. They come to me and ask if I want to do it. It's a luxury, I guess, because I don't have struggle finding work, really. It finds me. But I always make sure that I have a good website, a good show reel, a lot of stuff on Vimeo, interesting behind the scenes. And so people find me through Vimeo and YouTube and such.
Yes, it's changed the world also because with social now we can enter in contact with all people.
Yeah, like on Facebook, you reach like 1,000 people with one post, basically. And if it's a cool making-of you just did, then people notice. And then they're like, hey, Ansi did this effect already. We need that in our next commercial. And then they sent me an email. Let's do it.
What do you think the future of effects? Because in this last year, I see more growing some, for example, technology like VR, like 3D print, etc. Maybe is very big sector, the computer graphic. But what do you think the future?
I think VR is going to totally explode for games as well as movie experiences. So that's good to get into right now, I think. It's that technology is still in its infancy. It's very, very young as a technology. And now we have the horsepower and machinery, like with the Oculus, you can hook it up to 8-core machine or whatever and do amazing stuff with it. I think it's going to go into the VR more than it did into, like after Avatar, every movie was converted to 3D where you go to the theater with the glasses on. But that never really took off, I think. Now we see 2D movies again. That was just a trend. With VR, I think that's gonna put a dent in the. That's a paradigm shift in this whole game, and 3D printing is awesome because you can print props now for movies that you model in ZBrush and then you print it, like cool weapons or concept cars, and that's actually already been done in Hollywood. Certain props and futuristic pieces of equipment, they 3D print and then there's airbrush it. That's totally happening because drafting in ZBrush is fast.
Yeah, it's your first time in Paris for this event, and what do you think about it?
I think it's awesome because it is. I go to a lot of conferences that are like from Autodesk, and it's only Autodesk guys, or SIGGRAPH is more for the companies that they have a booth there and put their stuff on display. This year is really for the artists. There's a lot of young and aspiring people. It's a very international crowd. Last night I spoke with a guy at the bar. We spoke English for half an hour and we found out we both speak German. So it's a fun international crowd, and I like that. There's senior artists, like the people that are presenting right now on stage, or I've presented yesterday, but there's also the young guys, and because the place here, the auditorium, is very small, which is good because you're all together in one room. There's not like this is the room for the senior people and this is where the junior artists line up. Or I think it's awesome. Everything is basically in one room, so it's a good. You can mix and mingle and talk. It's awesome.
Okay. So thank you for your time, and see you in the next time. Maybe I hope to see you in.
Oh yeah, hopefully next year I can come back.
If I can in USA. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, come visit.
Okay.
Thank you guys. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye. Bye bye.